Not always as they seem, or is it exactly what it seems like? I imagine that might depend on who you ask. Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by Bet365. We got AJ, we got Eric, we got Rudo coming to you live on an off day for the Avs, but that has not stopped the rampant speculation about how this whole Mikko Rantanen situation played out. We've got some thoughts. I know Eric's got a lot of thoughts, as he is perhaps the most experienced with situations like this, both as a player and as a part of the front office. So we'll pick his brain about how all this played out, about his opinions on it, about how things actually went down. First, though, a little bit of news of the day. Number one, Logan Thompson gets extended on a deal that makes the Blackwood deal look pretty good. Not that we thought it was bad in the first place or anything, but Avs seem to have a knack for signing deals that look pretty cost effective pretty quickly, it would seem.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good deal
No
for
thoughts.
everybody. I mean,
It's all
Logan, good deal for Logan Thompson. Good deal for the Caps. Cool.
Sure.
Looks like a bad misread of Logan Thompson by Vegas there.
Yeah.
You just giving that guy away like that, but Vegas seems to get away with everything, so it doesn't really matter.
No kidding. I get going all in on the goalie that led you to a Stanley Cup, but it felt pretty predictable that Aiden Hill was going to come back down to earth, right?
Yeah, he's still pretty good. But yeah.
Still pretty good, not great. For the record, a .903 save percentage this year. Pretty average.
Yeah.
Who's that? Is that Logan?
No, Aiden Hill.
I'm sorry. God. Aiden Hill. Yeah, I would have kept Thompson. Again, you won with the other guy. I mean, you know how it is, right? You know, whatever. Yep. He was hurt. Logan missed his chance. Hill took the ball and he won. So, that's what it is.
I've been hyping up a one-word answer question for you guys based on the news today that multiple people have DM'd me about. Nick Aube-Kubel's on waivers.
Sure.
Oh. I like him. So
do you like him at 1.5 mil though?
Oh, I forgot that he's at one. I'm sorry. I liked him. I liked him back then. You know what I mean? When was that 2022? Not because he broke the cup, but I liked him. You know what I mean? I just like his. I don't know. I just think he's funny to watch. I don't think he has a care in the world of I don't know. You know, he goes, and I like it. I mean, I've always liked him, so
all right.
I don't mind him at all.
For that money.
1.5, yeah, I gotta think. Yeah, for that money, it's no.
Okay, that's what I thought. For the record, he has 2 points in 19 games this year. So
yeah, I mean, he's
is what it is. I know people have fond memories there, but it would be difficult for that to make sense in Colorado, I think.
Yeah, I like him better than Inala if it was the same salary. How's that?
Oh, sure. If that dude's on a league minimum, no doubt, I'm much more interested than 1.5 mil for him. But unfortunately, that's not how sports contracts work. Which it is a conversation that we're about to have today. But I mean, look, as we dive into this conversation, the number one thing I would recommend you do is go watch Chris McFarland's presser that he had the other day in Boston. I think you should get a general gist of what happened just from that. I think McFarland was relatively forthcoming for a GM about that situation and how it ultimately played out. But I want to ask you, just from, let's start on a very basic level. You've been traded, you've traded people, not as a GM, but you've been part of front offices that have traded for or traded away people. Are people putting a little bit too much stock in this on a personal level? Is this mostly just a business trade here, or is there actually maybe some ill thoughts or ill intentions or bad blood or whatever you want to call it behind this trade?
No, great question. Great question, because that's what I wanted to touch on. Like, at the end of the day, it's a business. It just is. And it's not a cliche answer. It's the truth. It's a business. And I'll dissect it a little more. And I like what you just asked me, because these guys, from the players to Chris McFarland to Jared Bednar to Joe Sakic, that is part of the front office, they love Mikko Rantanen. Now, what's not to love? I mean, he's an easy-go-lucky guy. He's got a funny personality. He's homegrown. He's one of the all-time best wingers of the Avalanche. Or the franchise with our friend of the show, Goo. You know what I mean? He's right there neck and neck with Goo at all those records, right? He was an unbelievable 10th pick of the first round. When you look back at it, it was a strong draft, but what a pick he was at 10. He grew up here in front of everybody's eyes. He grew up here as a man, loves Colorado. At the end of the day, that gets everything gets put aside. You know what I mean? That's not what's happening here. That's not what's happened. And the easiest way to put it is he made a business decision. And then that business decision forced the Avalanche to make a business decision. That's what happened. That's it. And they're not mad at Mikko Rantanen, and then we can dissect it a little more. But and then the players are not mad. They're mad and they're shocked. Like they said, first of all, you stick someone's freaking microphone in front of their face when the thing just happened the night before. You guys don't understand how it is on the road. It's not like you're in one big room. Man. Some guys were asleep. Some guys wake up in the morning. Some guys wake up later. You have a lunch, and then you go right to the rink. You have 2 points on the line. So it's not like you're having a big meeting and you know what I mean? It's not how it works. And then you got to go play, and then you lose the game, which against Boston that could have easily won. They played great for the first 2 periods. They gave up 8 shots. And then let it slip away in the third. Then you stick a microphone and a camera in front of their faces. Hey, what do you think about your friend of 10 years? And again, go back to what I just said 3 minutes ago. That everybody loves, everybody's great. There's no hard feeling. Oh, he's gone. What are they going to say? Oh, I'm pumped he's gone. This is so awesome. Thank God. That's not what you're going to get. You're going to get a raw reaction of, on top of it, just losing the game 3 minutes before. Oh yeah, this sucks, because it does stink. It stinks. It just stinks, and it stings. And at the end of the day, what they're shocked about and what they're mad about is, what I'm going to say is I'm shocked that he didn't take that hometown discount or whatever you want to call that and stick together with the core. And then he went and he's going to try to maximize his value. And I'll say it again. I was a player rep. I was a player and I was a player rep. My dad was an agent for 25 years for the well-being of the clients, the players. And I also worked in management. I am not pro player or pro management. I have no problem when a player wants to maximize his short career. They're short. Careers are short. And if you want to maximize the dollar amount that you're going to make, I have no problem with that. But that's what it is. And you can't play both sides and say, yeah, but I want to stay here and be part of the core and win championships. They told you, in order to win championships, and whatever the number is, it's not important. Because whatever the numbers we can give you, this is what we can give you. And this is why you've been successful, because you're good and individually you're good and you've made this team successful. But you've also been part of an unbelievable organization, unbelievable core of guys, Makar, McKinnon, and you've benefited from that too. I'm not taking that away, and I'm not taking anything away from his play either. So it's a marriage, and it's a happy marriage, and then it's like, you don't think Gabe Landeskog left money on the table when he went down to the last 30 minutes? Gabe Landeskog would have got more in the market. Yes or no?
Yes.
I can tell you.
Yes.
I can tell you he was getting more. So I can tell you that, right? And I'm not. We don't need to give names or teams. Like, I've just been in this business my whole life. You guys know that. My friends are in this business. That's just my life. You know, Cale Makar didn't leave money on the table to make sure that this score stuck together, because McKinnon was up a few years after him and Rantanen was up, which is now a few years after him. Absolutely, Cale Makar left money on the table. Why? Because everybody's in it together. And that's where Joe Sakic, I always remember who Joe Sakic is. Yeah, he's the face of the franchise, one. He's a guy that maximizes opportunity as a player. He's a guy that, my old man, again, the recipe was disastrous of the Quebec Nordiques, but they had a lot of ingredients. You guys know the story. My dad had one conversation with Joe, and he said, we're going to win together. Trust me. Do you want to win together? And then, you know what? He decided to keep him and let go of just Hockey DB. Just look at all the other transactions. He let go of other 2 number 1 overall picks. Why? Because I'm going to win with this guy. And this guy did his job, and he went on to play. And then when it came time, because times were tough with back then, Ascend Sports and everything, he maximized as a player. Just like Mikko did a few years back when he held out, and then just what Mikko's doing right now. I want to maximize what I can do. Almost lost him to the New York Rangers through an offer sheet. You know when you go down that slide as a player. Joe knows. Mikko knows. Joe lived it. He signed that offer sheet. He could have been a New York Ranger 7 days later. He knew that. But he obviously didn't, and there's a documentary on it because it got saved and everything. At the end of the day, he didn't want to leave, but he was going to leave if he had to, because that's what he felt he was worth. Now, they felt that, yeah, you are worth that, but it's not going to work. I can't give you that. Now, if you go get it that way, then we'll figure it out, and that's what they did. And then Joe went on from Avalanche 1.0, 96 to 01. There was a couple weird years in there, but at the end of the day, they won another one. And when it came time, he was a UFA with Blake Waugh, right? What did Joe do? Maximize his opportunity. Waited till the last minute. Different era. No salary cap, right? But still a little bit of the same thing internally. And they were all in cahoots. Rob Blake, Joe, Patty. Don't think that the core is not part of this. And this is where Joe's strength is. Joe's strength is he's lived it. He's done it. And next thing you know, why do you think there's continuity with this management? Ben Nahr and staff have been there 9 years. Chris McFarland's been there 9-10 years. Forget about the titles, whoever does what. Those guys have been working and doing deals together for 10 years. And don't think for 1 second that the core is not part of this, because they're all in cahoots together. And then individually, you know where you fit in the pecking order. And every team that's successful has a pecking order. It is what it is. It's how it works. And then all of a sudden, guys are leaving a little money on the table because they're going to get, I don't want to hear, yeah, but the cap goes up and everything. Like, it's irrelevant. You don't think McKinnon knew the cap was going to go up when he signed that deal? What is it, 2 years ago? Of course he knew. Like, I mean, come on. Are we all dumb here? So then I understand next year, whatever. But if you're going to go, and then what's Cale going to get? And then Nate's got another, 6 more years now? Whatever. I'm trying to remember, Nate, was it last year that he signed that extension or the year? I don't remember. But it doesn't matter. So he's got 6 more years, 7 more years. Now, Cale's up in a few years. The math doesn't work. It doesn't work. So it works if we give you this, and then you'll be successful, and then, it is what it is, and you've been successful together. I got no problem that he's saying no. Now, when you go public like he does today and say, no, I was willing to take a discount. What's a discount? What's a discount? $5 is a discount. He's not lying. I'm just saying, it's easy to do that. And then the narrative goes back on the team that they miss and they fumble this. Nobody fumbled anything. I'm not here to defend Chris. I'm not here to defend Joe. We are here. As my job is to show you and tell you how it works, because I've lived it as a player and I've lived it as a manager. Now, if they make a mistake on trades, you know what? Chris has made a mistake, and Joe, because they all do it all together. They've made mistakes on trade, but so what? If you make better ones and you swing, like I said to you, you go 5 for 10, that's 500. You win the batting average in Major League Baseball, absolutely. But you can harp forever, oh, you're blue in the face on the 5 you missed. This management swings when they need to. Just look at the goaltending when they had to fix it. They swung last year at the deadline because of what they needed to do. Is it perfect? No, nobody's perfect. And I'm not defending them. But I'm telling you that we're fortunate to have these guys here in Colorado because they've had a hell of a run. There's a reason they have a hell of a run. And there's a reason because they know what they're doing. And a guy like Joe's been through it. And a guy like C-Mac is a workhorse. And those guys put it all together. And whether it's Biller that left, and now you have Kevin McDonald, and then they bring in the right people. And those people all go for one common theme, which is what? Put the best possible product on the ice to go win another Stanley Cup. And they will. They will. It's just like that gap from 96 to 01. You're in the same window right here. And look at that cup in 96 and look at the cup in 01. It's not the same team. People leave and you make decisions and you go get drafted. They made a decision. Mikko Rantanen knew that if he wasn't saying yes to this and he said, whatever it was, I'm not going to take the hometown discount come July 1st. Great. Awesome. I got no problem with that. I love Mikko Rantanen. I do.
Yeah, I want to talk about that more, but I do have to maximize our profits too. So
yes, I'm going to get back to it. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
We're going to pay our bills. No, I love it. I didn't want to break up the rant, but I've got a job to do, unfortunately. We are brought to you by Mando. If you think there's some stink around this trade, make sure you're keeping your grundles clean with Mando. Also, your pits, your butts, your balls, whatever it might be. Mando has you covered with tons of different products for your male cleaning needs, whatever it might be. Go visit their website today. You can get a ton of different options. Comes with 2 different deodorants, whether you want a stick or a cream tube, and 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, all in their starter pack. And you can get $5 off that starter pack when you use code DNVR at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Make sure you're supporting our show using that DNVR code even, and letting them know that we sent you over there. You can get a bunch of different fresh scents like Bourbon Leather, Clover Wood, Mount Fuji even, or Pro Sport. Go get with them. Again, shopmando.com and use that DNVR code for $5 off the Mando starter pack. Once you're smelling good and feeling good, make sure you're getting yourself down to Toyota. Go get yourself into a Toyota. Your Front Range Toyota stores are all over the Denver and even the Colorado area. If I'm honest, 17 different vehicles with all-wheel drive, 16 different vehicles with an electric or hybrid motor. You can make sure you're saving money that way. They've got a vehicle for everyone: SUV, truck, Tundra, 4Runner, you name it, sedan like a Corolla. They've got a vehicle that suits everyone's need. I'm struggling today, boys. We're struggling out here. Toyotas don't struggle, though, not in the snow nor on the road. Go check out your local Toyota dealerships, including AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain State Toyota in Denver, Stevens Toyota in Aurora, and Stevens and Toyota West in Lakewood. Make sure you get yourself into the vehicle of not just us here at DNVR, but the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, and a couple of things I wanted to jump in on there, E. You mentioned the Landeskog thing. And if you take a look at the history of this front office, it's always been a pretty methodical front office, right? This is not a front office that makes snap decisions very often, waiting to the last minute with Landeskog. Even if you look at some of the other moves they've made this season, the fan base was about ready to explode with how long it took them to move on from Georgiev. Historically, at trade deadlines, things have gone a little bit slower than some people may have liked at times. So I think it's safe to say that this was not a spur-of-the-moment deal to move on from Mikko Rantanen, right?
No, and I hear a chat there are people talking about, it was mishandled. Says who? Says who? Was anybody in the room? I'm just telling you, I wasn't in the room. I'm just telling you how it works. And I'm telling you because I know those people and I've known them for a long time how they work. And if you want to go off of like speculations and people will throw anything when it sticks. I mean, Kakaniemi is supposed to be an Av too. I mean, it was all over there. He was going to be our third line center too. You know what I mean? Like, so things are thrown against the wall. Like, it's not how it works. And you might think it's mishandled. You might think the team mishandled it. You might think Mikko mishandled. Somewhere, somehow, it's business. And that's it. And at the end of the day, the agent knew that this was going to happen. He was told this was going to happen because he has no choice. And it is what it is. And then afterwards, as a player, you're shocked. I'm going to run in a Speedo, whatever. We'll come up with that. You know what I mean? But because I'm shocked still, because they said they will never trade it. Because I thought he was going to be in with the rest of the guys and say, okay, we're sticking together. There's a way to stick together. He didn't. I'm not mad at him. I'm not. I'm shocked that he didn't want to, play with Cale Makar and Nate McKinnon. I would have stayed. That's me. Now he believes that he's worth more and he needs the Drisital deal, and you'll see he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. Is he gonna be Carolina? I don't know. They don't sign him and they try to go for it. Good on them. You guys know me. I'm a gambler. I got no problem. Carolina made the deal that they don't have an extension. Now, if they don't get an extension and they don't win and he walks, I mean, that's a tough deal. You know what I mean? That's a tough deal, but I don't mind. They tried it. I got no problem with that. I'm Carolina. I do it too. Why not? But on the other side, on the flip side of things, if I'm Colorado, all of a sudden there's a timing for everything, but then people are saying, oh, you didn't get a first-round pick. First of all, the value of UFA, I don't have to explain that to anybody in chat or right here. We all know that. Value of a UFA is different value than a guy that's signed. With that said, they didn't get a first-round pick. No, they got extra picks there, the second and the fourth or whatever. But they got Martin Nečas. You know how many teams want Martin Nečas? I'm not telling you he's better than Mikko Rantanen. That's not what I'm saying. Mikko Rantanen has solidified himself for me, should be in the Raptors at Ball Arena. He's won a cup. He was part of that freaking awful team that turned it around and became a Stanley Cup champion. It's freaking awesome. Okay? But Martin Nečas is not like, it's not me, a fourth-line player that can't play. It's just a real player. This is a good player. And then you got a couple years, right, of cost certainty with him. And then, of course, he's going to want a new deal. We all knew it was complicated in Carolina last year. There's a reason why they were going to move him and trade. It's not because he's a bad apple. It's because they know what he's going to cost. They weren't willing to pay him that money. Now, if they want to pay Mikko that money, $14 million, whatever it is, sure, give it to him. I mean, that's up to them. I don't know. We don't run Carolina. And if they do, great. Got an awesome player. And you're built, but you're not paying Makar either. You're not paying what's his name, McKinnon. I mean, at the end of the day, like somewhere, somehow, it's a little bit has to give. And people think it's easy and it's Sega or Xbox or whatever it is, and you do the math. Oh, I did it, and they have math, and they can do this, and they can't do that. You can't. That's not how it works. And at the end of the day, I'm shocked they traded him because I'm shocked that it came down to that. I didn't think it was going to come down to that. But he left them no choice. He left them no choice. He had to be traded because you go this year and he walks for nothing. People were still mad that they let Paul Stastny go and walk for nothing, right? You know what I mean? I love Paul, but this is like, Mikko's a higher end player than Paul even. You know what I mean? You're going to let him walk for nothing? Well, give yourself a chance to win this year. No, he told you we're going to win. And I'm not taking that discount come July 1st, so don't worry about it. It's not happening. I might have to trade you then. Do what you got to do. Don't think the agent didn't know. Don't think the player didn't know. Don't think the core didn't know. You think Makar and those guys weren't part of it? Like, hey, listen, they got a job to do to go play hockey. And when they're asked a question, they're not going to tell you like, well, yeah, we talk with management. No, I'm not telling you that they talked to management the night before, but I'm telling you that everyone knew this was going down that path. If it was going to keep going like that, that was the outcome. Here came the outcome. They liked their return, and time will tell like what it is. Like, I don't know. Nečas played a great game yesterday. I know. I don't know. Is he going to play a great game next time? I don't know. But if I'm him, boy, oh boy, riding shotgun with Nathan McKinnon. Sure, I'm pretty happy. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. But this narrative that, like, oh, this and this and that, players are always going to, what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you, no, I wanted to be an Av for life, and, it's too bad. I would have taken a discount. Again, what's the discount? $5? $5 is the discount. You're not lying. I'm not blaming the agent. He's got the same agent as Drisital. He's going to maximize the deal. He's got pressure from the PA. Absolutely. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? You're one of the best wingers in the league, and why not maximize those contracts? I got no problem with that. But the narrative that they mishandled this, and then I'm not even mad at Mikko, but when you go there, and again, no one's saying anything. All they're saying is, well, yeah, I don't want to get into details, but I was willing to take a discount. Oh, what does that mean? And then the agent says the same thing. And then those insiders tell you the same thing because they talk to the agent. And then the agent's like, well, of course, what are you talking about? If you're the agent, you're going to maximize everything you can. He's not signed. Why not go for 15 with Chicago? Why wouldn't you? That's your job. It's all good. I'm not mad at him. He's doing his job.
Do you feel better?
I feel better. I'm not telling you they're perfect. I'm telling you that, should have been. It is what am I? He's my favorite. You guys know that. He's my favorite winger. He's my favorite player. My favorite forward. I love Kale. You guys know that. He's number one in my heart. But Mikko is my guy up front. Like but I get what he did. I'm not mad at him. But I get what the Avs did too. And you can still miss a player and be sad a player is gone, but don't think that's the end of the world. And it was mishandled and mismanaged. Nothing was mismanaged. Don't worry about it. Hey, 1 second. Go watch that presser that you just said, Rudo, right? About the other day in Boston. Somebody asked C-Mac about the room. Are you worried about the room? And then he looks like this, what? Watch his answer. He's like, what? No, not at all. No, not at all, because they all know. They're all part of this. They've always been part of this, and that's how you win. He decided he wanted something else. And that's okay. If you want something else, you'll have to go get it somewhere else, and that's what he did. I am not mad at him. But let's not be mad at the Avalanche at the end of the day. And we don't work for the Avalanche, the three of us. We work for explaining how things work. And yeah, you can be mad the player's gone. And yeah, you can be mad and think that these guys are terrible. I'll tell you one thing. They're not terrible. They know what they're doing. And they're the envy of the National Hockey League. And somebody said a dynasty. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put it right here. They're going to win in the next couple of years. I'm telling you right now. They will win with what they have. They will win with those guys. Just like they won in 01. Don't worry, they're going to add more, and then all of a sudden they'll have the twist because they know what they're doing. And again, I don't work for the Avalanche. Neither do I want to work for the Avalanche. It's for my family. I've worked for them. I played for them. But right now, this is what I do, and this is my job to explain to you how things work. You know what I mean? But it's not a fantasy land and then looking for culprits and fumbles, and it's not how it is. It's not what happened. Go.
Well, I could look at the clock, so
before we can just get that. All right, fine.
Yeah.
Oh shoot! Sorry.
Let's pay some more bills. Let's pay some more bills before we get another 15-minute rant. Which I love these, by the way.
Yeah. I see a nice question too. I'll get back to it after.
Yeah, I want to ask that one too, but we'll get there.
Josh one? All right,
yeah. We are brought to you by Bet365. You can go get your bets in. I don't think you can bet on trading Mikko Rantanen or him walking from Carolina or something, but you can bet on the Avs to win or lose on any given night, or what you might think they do in the playoffs. You think this trade ruined the Avs' chances? Bet for them to not win. If you think this gave the Avs a chance, bet for them to win. Either way on Bet365. Doesn't even have to be hockey. You can go bet on the Superb. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the rest of that word, so I'll stop there. You can go bet on basketball, on any sport under the sun with code DNVR365. You bet $5, win or lose, you get $150 in bonus bets. So do it with Bet365. And when you do gamble with them, of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you're someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. And then maybe you need to chill out. Maybe you're going on a 45-minute long rant about a trade that is good and or bad and or is somewhere in the middle. Choose chill with Coors Light while you're talking about your trades. Go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR and get it delivered right to your front door thanks to Instacart. The mountains on the bottle or the can literally turn blue to let you know it's ice cold and ready to drink. So get with your Coors Light today. Of course, if you need to get out of the house, you can always go pick it up at your local liquor store too. Of course, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. Another little bit too here. As if you guys didn't know, tickets are on sale for our next takeover of Ball Arena. So if you want to come watch Marty Nečas in person, you can do so. We're taking over a suite at Ball Arena the end of February against Minnesota. Come join us for an absolute blast. We're going to have some pretty cool people coming. I don't think I can announce it yet, but should be a very cool suite to not just watch the game, but mingle with some pretty cool guys, including guys like Big E will be there. But as cool as Big E is, we're going to have cooler guys than that too. So come join us. Tickets on sale right now. You can find them over at the events page of thednvr.com and come have a blast with us. All right, third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. AJ, what you got?
Yeah, I mostly want to ask Eric, what does the communication specifically look like between management and players who are not Mikko Rantanen? Obviously, everybody knows that he's going to be a free agent. Everybody knows that the situation is ongoing, but that seems to be such a large point of consternation from other people is, how could they blindside the other Avalanche players like this? What does that communication actually look like?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say. And that's how you win, by the way. You got to make sure you're in tight with your core. The core will make you win. No doubt about that. Any Stanley Cup. But then the depth guys will, help you win. You're not winning without the core guys. I'm sorry. This is not. Core guys make you win. The other guys help you win. You have to know where you stand. You have to know what you are. And most guys, if they're in the National Hockey League with longevity, know what they are. And when people say oh, well, McKinnon, if he has a turnover, well, he's still going to play the next shift. Now, if Parsonen has a turnover, he's not going to play. Yep, that's right. That's how it works. That's how it works. It's life. One puts, a lot of butter on the table and bread on the table. And at the end of the day, yeah, he does turn it over once in a while, but he creates 40 of them on the plus side. But if you're creating 3 and then you turn 1, your odds aren't good. You know what I mean? So you're not treated the same way. Your leash is a bit tighter. Absolutely. So when management, they have to be in cahoots with their core. Good managers. Look at Tampa over the years. Julian Breezeball, say what you want about him, but he was in cahoots with the Hedmans and Stamkos and all those guys. And you know where you are. You know what you're doing. And the agents are involved. And, this is what we have. This is the outlook. You heard Chris say that. This is our outlook. This is what we're going to be doing here the next couple of years, So you kind of know where it is and what's going on. You have a Devon Tays that signs an extension last year, the start of the season. Don't think for 1 second that one of his questions is not where are we going with this? Where is this going? And he's a secondary piece, right? They fall right underneath. And the Tushkin, the Tays, the Avalanche have so many of those great players, right? You know what I mean? And then you fall in rank like you do, and management will keep you afloat of what's going on. My old man can tell you that was always Joe always knew what was happening, to a certain extent, like Footy and Patty and Rob or Ray Bork. You know what I mean? You do that, and then it's a continuity of the coaching staff, and that's why they have such a beautiful liaison there between management and coaches and to the core. Those guys are on the same page. This thing that, oh, yeah, I kind of, you know what I mean? Everyone knew that this could happen. You're getting shocked that it happened that night because, well, it's not like they were asking, oh, excuse me, we're doing this. Are you okay if we're doing this? It's not what I'm saying. But you have an overview of what's going to happen and what's about to happen if things are not happening the way you want them to do. And I think that it's very important and this is where Joe probably comes in, and this is where Chris has been really good. Joe and Chris have a good pulse on their coach and their staff and their core. it's been that way, and it's been that way for years. And why do you think, they won, and they're so happy, and they're all laying on the ice, and the Eric Johnsons of the world, and it's like, oh my God, we did it because we stuck together, and we did it, and we did what we had to do. And that's the beautiful thing. You don't win without that. If everybody's on their own and everybody's gonna go do what they want to do, then you'll never win. You know what I mean? And that's not how it works. So, these guys, again, Mikko made a business decision. They made a business decision, and sometimes you have to move on. Just like Joe Sakic, if they wouldn't have come with that spectacular documentary, like whatever, the craziness of a film saving someone. At the end of the day, there's no documentary for the Mikko saga. It just nothing could save it. Like, it was like, this is where I'm going, and this is the path I went, and this is what it was. Where Joe was an offer sheet, and then you can react to it, and then even though you can't, all of a sudden, an act of God, a movie comes in and then saves it, where you might have, probably walked away from him. And then Joe would have been a New York Rangers, just like he's a Carolina Hurricane.
So the real shock in this is that Eric, the real shock comes in that they actually pulled the trigger on this, that they would actually do this, that they would say, you know what, we're at the end of the line here. We've tried to make it clear, because we know that behind the scenes that there were, I don't want to say warnings, I don't want to say threats, but it was communicated that if they continued to be this far apart on contracts talks throughout the season, this was a possibility, that this was something that they would have to strongly consider. And would you say that the shock that everybody has been expressing, that McFarland expressed, that McKinnon expressed, is a lot more about, holy shit, we actually did this, more than feeling betrayed by anybody?
100%. 100%. And I can tell you, Chris McFarland, I'll speak of my old man. My old man thought he was the Iron Fist and Curtin and freaking, like, oh God, like Stone Face. And I can tell you that trading away assets was the toughest thing to do in the world. It's not fun to do. It is not fun to do. It's fun on Xbox. In real life, it's not. And I can tell you that Chris did not want to do this. And when I say Chris, he's the spokesperson. The Avalanche did not want to do this. They did not want to do this. They're shocked that it came down to this. And I think on the other side of things, well, the agent might have, instructed his client, like, oh, they're not going to do it, And again, now as a player, you're like, oh, okay, well, they might trade me if I don't, take that money. Whatever that money is, not important. It's not important. You know what I mean? So now all of a sudden, you're shocked? Well, yeah, everybody's shocked. So's Chris. So's the Avalanche. So are you. So is everybody else, because they didn't think it would come down to this. And this is not, like Rudo said, something that happened in 5 minutes. This is not happening in 5 days. It's happened since July 1st, and, the talks, and last year, and going where you go. At some point, you knew that he wasn't going to do it. He wasn't going to sign it at their number. Then it's okay. Then you're shocked, and you do what you have to do. And somebody asked about Josh there, like, if I can just add to that, Josh or the Kroenkes, like, that's the beauty of it. Like, a lot of people over the years have said, like KSC, like, oh, they're absentee owners, and to a certain point, you know what I mean? Like, the beauty of it, I don't agree with that word, but the beauty of it is they let you do your work. Having worked for them and knowing how they work, they let you do their work. You might like them, you might like them. It's not important, but their strategy, it works. They've won in the NFL, they've won in the NBA, they've won in the NHL, so it does work. They let the people that they hire, in this instance, it's Joe Sakic / Chris McFarland / Kevin McDonald / everybody else that works for the Avalanche, do their job. I'll tell you one thing. I've been on teams where the owner comes down after the game in the coach's room, and they're asking you, why'd you put Rudo? Probably should have had AJ, and it's like, oh, that's a tough way to work. That is how it works here. But at the end of the day, they'll stand behind the people that they've hired to do the job, and I've never seen them veto anything, or there's a rationale behind it. They do it, and then they stand behind it. And I've seen, again, trades being vetoed by not GMs, but owners, and you're like, are you serious? And the guy's not even involved in the day to day, and now he's telling us we can't trade this or that, and it's like it's a nightmare. That's not how it works here, and they give you full support, and it tends to work. And guess what? The people that they trust have had success. That management group has had success. They've won a cup. They turned the franchise, where it obviously was really good, then had a few tough years, and then they turned it around into another decade of success. And it's not easy to do. You need the right people to do that. That is not working for the Avalanche. That's an honest truth. You have to know what you're doing, and it doesn't work. And they did it right. They did it right.
The thing with the Cronkies, and then this has been a conversation that's been going on for years for people that follow other Cronky sports teams, where the Cronkies do own some teams where they are cheap, but it's not the Avs. They have always been willing to spend on the Avs, especially when they're good. And there's a world where maybe that conversation has changed. I don't know the Cronkies personally, but there's no reason to believe that money was a factor in this for the Cronkies. The Avs are pennies to these people. They own multiple sports teams that they pay way more money than they do to the Avs. It would be a hard sell to me to believe that the Cronkies are like, oh, well, we don't want to spend that much money.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the other team in the building. They're paying more money for Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic than all of the Avs players combined. So just, for some salary, just relatively speaking here. But I think with one of the other elements of this that I want to make sure that we touch on is the timing of it. Yep. Because I know that there's a lot of, well, if they would have held on to him for 6 more weeks up to the deadline, they might have gotten a better return. And I guess I think part of the appeal of them doing it when they did, I don't think they were in a rush. I don't think that they were dying to trade him right now. I don't think they wanted to do it right now. I just think that they saw an offer that they liked from Carolina, with Marty Nečas being the primary piece of it, and then Jack Drury, that's fine, and a couple of draft picks. Great. Let's also keep in mind, Jake Gensel did not go for a first-round pick. It was a conditional first. The condition didn't get met. It ended up a second-round pick. So they got the same thing, but they also got Marty Nečas. Go and look at the packages. Would you rather have Michael Bunting in a second-round pick or Marty Nečas in a second-round pick, plus Jack Drury and a couple of prospects that, who knows, right? Maybe they're something, maybe they're not. But what I think that the timing of it is a really, really important part of this, because you may not have had Marty Nečas in 6 weeks to fall back on. Carolina was heavily involved in whatever's going on with Vancouver, Miller, Pettersson, whatever's happening there. And then if that goes away, what team out there are you comfortable making this deal to? Yeah. Who is giving you those assets that you want? Who is giving you, because you don't want to punt on this season. Nečas and Drury allow you the opportunity to not punt on this season, to continue to be competitive while filling holes. They get a depth center. They needed a depth center. They got one. You don't normally want to use your superstar players to do that, but it was part of it, okay? But they get a top 6 guy in Nečas, who's not going to be as good as Rantanen. None of us are sitting here trying to lie to people and say that that's going to happen. But there is reason to believe, you put him next to McKinnon, you put him in Colorado's system, he should be fine. He should be really, really good. He won't be Mikko Rantanen. He very likely won't be Mikko Rantanen.
You're replacing Rantanen in the aggregate, right? Like,
you didn't want to trade McKinnon. I mean, Rantanen. You didn't want to trade him.
Yeah, of course not.
Like, you don't want to move that guy, but you're talking about the timing of it is more about the Hurricanes were looking to do a big deal, and it was either going to be Rantanen or it was going to be one of the guys in Vancouver. Vancouver, if Vancouver gets Marty Nečas and makes that move, they aren't turning around and That deal goes away for the Avalanche, and then they're starting from scratch. Now we're back to facing the prospect of they're going to either try and find middle ground on the contract. There's just, let's be honest here about this contract. There is very little middle ground to be had. Okay?
Yep.
The Avalanche were going to make him the highest paid winger in the NHL, and they were not going to pay him more than Nathan MacKinnon. Those are two things that are absolute dead set fact. There is no debate about that. If one of us sat down and interviewed Chris McFarland right now, I would be willing to bet he would cop to that. That the highest paid winger in the NHL, not going to get paid more than Nathan MacKinnon. That's a pretty small area. That's a couple $100,000 that we're talking about.
Yep.
As being like, that's the negotiating room that they had. The fact that they weren't able to go with that negotiating to get into that window, it tells you that all of this rhetoric coming out from Mikko Rantanen about how he would have taken, I would have taken this big discount. Oh, I would have done this. Then why didn't you? Exactly. You had a chance. You had an opportunity. It was there. It was on the table. They offered it to you. Are we going to split hairs over whether it was $11.8 million or $12.4 million or $12.2 million? Sure, that's the agent's job. But the Avalanche were not going to go over Nathan. They were not paying him more than Nathan MacKinnon. And justifiably, why would they? What has Mikko Rantanen done to deserve being paid more than that? And my other follow-up question, I know that we have to get to that last break, I'm sorry. What has he done to deserve being paid like Leon Draisaitl?
Not enough. Not enough,
Leon,
for sure.
Leon Draisaitl, I'm just because I came prepared for this one. Since Mikko Rantanen's second season, when he got good, when he blew up, right? Like when things really went wild, Leon Draisaitl is second in the NHL in points and with 787 points. Mikko Rantanen has 643. Why? Why do we think that he should be paid the same amount of money? Their contracts start at the same time. One of them plays center. Leon Draisaitl is not a full-time center. It's part-time. He also plays plenty of the time next to Connor
He also
McDavid.
has an MVP.
But Leon Draisaitl has won an Art Ross. He has won a Hart Trophy. He is better than Mikko Rantanen. He is a more valuable player. Their contracts start at the same time in the same cap environment. This is not like, 3 years have passed and the cap has gone up $12 million. This is not the conversation. Why, and if it wasn't the same exact agency making the same deal, the deal that they had largely come to, they were right on the button. The Avs and Mikko Rantanen were on the button. They were right here to getting a deal done over the summer. What changed it? Draisaitl, represented by the same agency, gets the deal done. The same agency then turns around and says, "Please, sir, can we have more of that monies for the Mikkos?" No. He doesn't deserve it. From the Avalanche, certainly to be paid more than MacKinnon is crazy pants to me. I'm sorry, it's crazy pants.
I do think it's important.
Genuinely Go ahead. Sorry.
Just to support what you're saying, I do think this is important to reiterate, as Eric has said, that this is a business decision. Mechanically, the Avs could have found a way to pay Mikko Rantanen $14 million or whatever the number was. They could have moved pieces out. They could have done it. But the Avs as an organization decided that was not the best course forward to give themselves the best chance to build a successful hockey team. It's that simple to me.
Yeah, and make no mistake, you can't even evaluate the trade because you don't want to trade him. They didn't want to trade him, and that's been always answer number one. We're not trading him. Then answer number two is, what if he doesn't want to sign? What do we do, and what do we go get? What is the trigger that all of a sudden makes us go, okay, I'll do it. It's obviously Marty Nečas. That was the trigger, like AJ just said a few minutes ago. So then sometimes that trigger comes in a little earlier than you expected because maybe you think it's later. You don't know that there's going to be drama with Pettersson and Miller, guys that are making a lot of money at the same time. What's the saying? Keep your enemies closer or whatever it is. So you have to know exactly what the league and what's happening in the league. Why do you think those guys get to the rink in the morning and they get their coffees, they look, they make calls? There's 32 of them in the world. They call, they know who to call, they know what's going on. Some of them are in cahoots with others in the sense that it's like anything else. You're more friends with this guy because you have a good relationship with him. You used to work with him or you made deals with him. They kind of tell you, oh, yeah, it's kind of funny because he called me on him. He called me on Rudo. Then you're like, oh, okay. You're putting two and two together right now. Hey, there's some stuff happening here. You know what I mean? And that's how it works. Now, if you put your feet up and you drive a nice car and you go to the rink and, you have donuts and you watch morning skate and you get all excited, but that's not your job. That's being a fan. So those guys, there's 32 in the world. They're not fans. Like, they're fans, but they want to win, and they work. It's a dirty job. It's a lot of work, and Chris works. And when I say Chris, I'll put everybody in the same management. I'll use Chris because he's a spokesperson, okay? They work, and they didn't want to trade Mikko. And what they got for me in those circumstances is what they thought was going to trigger them to do it. Like you said, timing of it. Like, oh, we're getting what we said July 1 last year. That, if we ever get this, and that, we're doing it. You know what I mean? If it's the point where we feel we have to do it, then you obviously, the other part is for what? And the for what, they were satisfied with it. And for me, time will tell, but I think for what they got at first sight, the for what's pretty good. I'm not comparing Nečas to Mikko. You can't do that. And you can't say, like, who won the trade? It's not even a trade. You didn't want to trade him, if that makes sense what I'm saying. Like, it's just like, so what can I do to limit what I need to do, even though I don't want to do it?
Anyone telling you seriously who won the trade before the end of this season is just memeing. It's not a real... You can't possibly know who won that trade yet. Except for Chicago. Chicago lost the trade.
Yeah, I would also say, like, it's frustrating to me to be a one of the poors in America and to watch a guy have a $95 million deal on the table and then get that deal up to $100 million and say, no, I want $110 million. That's tough. And I tell you what, if he goes out and he signs a $15 million a year deal with Chicago in the offseason to go play next to Connor Bedard and trying to stick it to the Avs for the rest of his career, fair enough, man.
Power to him.
Fair enough. Like, fair enough. But I'm just saying, even if that were to happen, it's still, he went through all of that and it's $105 million. Like, he's going to go through all of that. He would have been a retired jersey here. He would have had a great chance at winning another Stanley Cup. Like, it's going to be really hard for him.
Really worth it? Yeah.
Like, it's going to be really hard for him to replicate that. And obviously, when you're making that kind of money, it's so easy for us to be like, it's $10 million. Like, it's only $10 million. Like, come on, it's $10 million. And he has every right to go after that money and try to maximize the earning potential of his playing career. That is his right on him. Go and get it, dude. Do what you got to do, but then don't turn around. This is the part that has actually upset me in the last 24 hours, is the turning around and then crying poor.
Yeah.
I would have taken this discount. I would have done that. I would have taken a steep discount to stay. Then why didn't you?
Yeah.
You had opportunities. You could have been. They were allowed to sign you to a contract. They were willing to make you the highest paid wing in the NHL. That wasn't enough. Enough. It was a hard deal on the table. You were set to agree to it until your agent signed the deal with Drisital and then said, we can get more. Okay, fair enough. But then don't cry poor.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I want to get paid.
We can go long if you guys want, but I do have to hit some things up first here. First of all, DNVR bar closed tomorrow. We have a private event at the DNVR bar, so do not come to the DNVR bar if you're trying to watch the Avs game. Stay at home and do the watch along with me instead. So don't go to the bar on that front. But also, another way you can go watch an Avs game later this year, Breck Brew is doing a giveaway for tickets that are actually kind of super sick. If you want to get the what's it called? It's called like the bar spot. I forget the name of it. I'm sorry. But there's that little bar spot with the seats and the tables down a glass level. Yeah. Breck Brew's giving away tickets.
Ice Deck.
Ice Deck. Thank you.
Ice Deck, yeah.
You can go get tickets to the Ice Deck. I think it's the March 28th game against the Blues. They're giving away some tickets for that. You can go to breckbrew.com for more details on it. Make sure you go check that out. Get some sick tickets to an Avs game. And then we have a couple of super chats to get to, and then we can do whatever we want. $2 from RCO Ray, Arcore. I can't pronounce any names. All right. And to be fair, Marty can't even pronounce his own last name. So I'm calling not my fault on this one. All right.
That was a funny clip. I laughed pretty hard when I saw you post that.
That was funny.
He says, hitting 3 posts is a horseshoe hat trick. I would rather have a real hat trick, but yeah.
Do both.
We talked about it. Regardless of the puck going in or not, it's super encouraging to see how willing he's been to shoot the puck so far in Colorado. The Avs are going to need that from him.
Yeah.
$5 from Andrew, who says the Avs are acquiring players from the 2017 first round like they're Infinity Stones. It used to be, what was it, the 2014 draft?
13.
That they had 13? Yeah, because it's McKinnon, Druin. There's I think that was Murray, Zadorov. Yeah. Anyway. It was Dano
Murray
too, right?
12.
Dano was 17 or something. Yeah. They have their years, I guess. $10 from NR. Question: Landeskog waited till last moments to sign the extension. Why not let Mikko do the same? Explain why the internal MAC cap isn't stupid. You couldn't sign him for $13 million. I think the internal MAC cap isn't true because Cale Makar is going to get more than McKinnon. There's zero doubt on his next deal. Cale Makar will get more than Nathan McKinnon. It's just you have to set a value.
For Mikko.
Right, sure.
I'm sorry. It's true for me. You're not going to pay your third best player. If McKinnon's deal, the same way that McDavid's deal is at the end of it, if McKinnon's deal was 4 years in, I don't think this would be the case.
And the cap had gone up 30 million, not 8.
Exactly. Sure. But because it is still a new deal, it's still fresh. It's you're just looking at it and saying, why would you pay that guy more? Your problem is really that you signed him to a 6-year deal coming off the ELC, not a 7 or an 8-year deal, I guess. But Eric, I would then deflect that question to you and say, how much I know McKinnon came out and said the last thing I care about is money. Easy to say when you're making a ton of it, but how much do those politics actually play into it? You think he's not going to notice if they give Mikko more?
Well, of course he would know because it would be right there. But at the end of the day, that's how you lose your room. That's how you lose everything. I'm a big believer in it back then. Internal cap is huge. That's how you keep happiness from within. It was like that 100 years ago when they were riding the trains and getting, drinks on their way to the game. To what it is now, it's still that way. It's important. And Landeskog waited. I'm giving you. It's a great example. So when Landeskog waited, because we're not privy to the information, to the conversation. It's none of our business. They're not going to tell us their private conversation. So obviously, with Gabe, it's hey, you can go test it. You can go test it, and this is what I think you're going to get, and this is what we can give you. And if you're willing to go and get $8 million in whatever T-Max, and we're giving you whatever Gabe is at, what is he, 7? I don't remember. Not important. But okay, we'll give you the right. You know what I mean? But you'll see. You're going to stick here. I know. I just want to go see this. I'm assuming this is what was said because I understand how it works. And then on the Mikko situation, it was no. Don't think I'm going back to this. I will not do it. I'm not signing under that number, whatever the number is. And they're like, well, we can't make that number work. You know that, and I know that. Okay, but then do what you have to do. There's a big different conversation right there. So, you wait till the end with one guy because it's well, hold on a second. And, where the other guy, the representation. The representation does this a certain way. Gabe's representation does things a certain way. And at the end of the day, I'm not blaming the agent. I'm not blaming Mikko. He went with what's best for him. And I applaud that. It's okay. But you can't play both sides. And then the Avalanche did what they had to do too. And that's it. And you can still be mad about one or the other, but at the end of the day, you can accept both sides. It is what it is. And that's what happened. And somebody's talking about Blackwood. Rantanen has nothing to do with Blackwood. Zero. And again, you just saw the Logan Thompson deal today at almost $6 million. Mackenzie Blackwood is a pretty good deal, actually. And you want to win? And with a $3 million goalie like Georgiev, you won't win. It's impossible. So, not with the team you have right now. Because the guys are starting to make $12 million and all that kind of stuff. You don't have the same team as 2022 when guys weren't making as much, where you had a little bit more depth. That's just how it works.
Really quickly, if you're watching us on Fast, Xfinity, Samsung TV, anything like that, we do have to sign off, but the show will continue on YouTube. So jump over there. Had to get that in. Our next super chat from Drew, $7, says, if Nečas turns into a 100-point guy, what do you think his contract will look like? It's really hard to say, man. This is a contract that is not up until the end of next season. He's a UFA at the time. In a perfect world, if you're the Colorado Avalanche, you would love him to play that well, and you would love him to sign for basically the exact contract Mikko is on right now.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair deal, honestly. 9.25 for 6 years.
Yep.
Right. If he has a great finish to this season, that's something that they should have a conversation about July 1st.
Agreed.
So that they're not turning around and trading Martin Nečas next year.
Just
back to Carolina for some other stuff.
Yeah.
The anti-paperclip.
What's he at right now? Is he top 12 in scoring? He's right there, right?
11.
He's top 20 for sure. Yeah, 11. Okay, there you go.
He's 11. He's tied with Jack Hughes, in case you're interested, right behind David Pasternak, and 1 point ahead of Mark Scheifele and Cale Makar. Just saying. And by the way, his most common line mates were Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Eric Robinson, so not exactly playing next to Nathan McKinnon. I'm just wanting to say this.
Yep. It's just to do a little bit of math when we're talking about value-wise. I think there is an argument to be made of, okay, the Avs don't want to pay Mikko Rantanen more than Nathan McKinnon. Maybe you should be looking to that as a percentage of the cap, though, right? Not the actual dollar number. And that's where this becomes a business again, because right now the cap is $88 million. On July 1st, the cap's going to be more than that. Some people have said 92.5. Some people have said it could be as high as 98. We don't know, but it will be more.
That's the other part of this that was always really difficult, is that if it's 92, signing him for $14 million, boy, that really hurts
crazy.
Next year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If it's 97, they probably could have done it a little bit easier. Regardless, you're talking about the difference of signing him let's just cut it at even and say $12 million.
Sure.
Nečas is going to be he's at 6'5" next year. You use the rest of that money elsewhere on your roster. I got 6'5" on him, 1.7 on Drury, and then the rest of that goes elsewhere.
And this is where it comes full circle, right? Because you compare it to Landeskog. The lines of communication were always there. The conversation around getting that Landeskog deal done at the last minute, there was always an underlying talks between the team and the player that, hey, we want to get this done. We want to be here. This is what we want to happen. And it's become pretty clear that there was not that level of movement on the contract in the conversations between the Avs and between Mikko Rantanen's agent or Mikko himself or whatever you want to say. They were clearly nowhere near as confident that they would have been able to get the deal done.
There you go. Bingo. Or else
unfortunately, that's business. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
$5 from Alec, who says, any credence to trying to sign Nečas earlier than later before he plays his value up too much, or either similar to Blackwood or latest by summer? So you can't extend him until there's only 1 year left on his deal. So they couldn't do it until July 1st. And we kind of just talked about that.
Yeah. If they could, I still wouldn't. You have to see. I really want to see how he plays in the postseason.
Yeah, that's the big factor for sure.
That's a big thing for me, is I want to see how he handles it. It's going to be it's going to be tough sledding. Whatever their path to the Cup final is. I want to, it's an important part because he hasn't been a great postseason player for the Hurricanes. Not that any of them really have been.
They're really good at getting to conference finals and not winning a single game.
Yeah, it's like they're great at getting to the second round. So familiar.
Yeah,
know those feels.
Was this really just a change of scenery trade? Is that what this really is? Just with big numbers?
Yeah, exactly.
You got anything else for us here? You've been the guy who wanted to big pop off on this. I'm about good.
No, I'm good. I mean, for me, at the end of the day, it's a business, and you try to make the best possible lineup that you can do to go win it all, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to win it all, and this is what they feel that they had to do it.
Yeah, $2 from RC, who says, "Can we talk more about CMAC saying this team ain't it?" I mean, I'm not going to say there's only one way you can win a Stanley Cup, but when you compare the depth of this Avalanche team to their Stanley Cup winning team, he's right. They're clearly less deep. Even fully healthy, they are a less deep team than they were when they won the Stanley Cup. So,
yeah, and really, because right now you got Ross Colton, Juuso Parssinen. I don't really know where he fits in when Val Nichushkin comes back. It's a genuine question as to, is that guy even in your lineup? I would play him over Miles Wood, but I think Miles Wood is terrible, so it's just my personal opinion. It's a struggle. I think the biggest need, you're still talking about a 3C. Yeah. Jack Drury is probably better suited as a fourth line center, but you get Nichushkin back. If you want to keep Parssinen in your lineup, then you have Parssinen and Colton on your third line.
Yeah. You've changed from a full shutdown third line to an offensive-minded third line, and that LOC, Kelly, whoever of the three end up in the lineup on any given night, your fourth line is now your shutdown line.
Yeah, you're probably talking about Kiviranta, Drury, and LOC as your fourth line, which that's a fourth line that you feel really quite good about.
Yep.
That's one you're really quite comfortable with, but you have to do you still have more work to do. It's not free to go out and get a third line center. Yanni Gord, Trent Frederick, whatever, those guys are not going to be cheap to go out and get. So you still have work to do there. And then, your defense, you still need work there. So
you need
a lot of work to do. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right. Is that it? We got to them all.
That's it.
Cool. Sick.
Sweet.
Guess we're out of here then. We appreciate all y'all hanging out. Always awesome. I'm so happy that we have Eric to give us the actual insights of a guy who's been on both sides of these trade conversations. Three sides, really, as a player advocate, too. So super cool info. We are out of here. We appreciate all y'all hanging out. Back tomorrow, game day. So be sure to tune in pregame, watch along, postgame. Again, bar closed tomorrow if you're local. Do not come down to the bar. Stay at home and watch on your couch. We appreciate y'all, and we will talk to you on the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.